Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dustin Kircher with MHP Nation. I got my partner, Ben Dreicer, here. Today, we got an awesome show. The gentleman has been doing a lot in the mobile home park space, especially in the last 3 years. He's got 16 mobile home parks in the last 3 years. He's part of Broadview Capital, which he started in 2014. And he's bought and sold over 40 million in assets, which is amazing. So today we got Larry. I asked him his last name earlier.
Abramowitz.
Abramowitz. How would we say that again?
Abramowitz.
Abramowitz. There, Larry Abramowitz. Oh man, I knew I was going to butcher that. But amazing guest. Excited to talk to him. We've heard him on other podcasts. Ben said we needed to reach out to him and talk to him because he's doing some amazing things in this space. So without further ado, Larry, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sorry for butchering your name. Uh, Ben gets to talk to you and does all the research, and I get thrown in. I'm like, oh man, I'm horrible with pronouncing names, so uh, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
But
I'm used to it.
are you okay? That's good. My last name too gets all messed up, but it is what it is. So Larry, I mean, it's you've been doing this. You've been in the real estate investing or you had Broadview since 2014, and like I mentioned, you in the last 3 years have purchased 16 mobile home parks. What made you get started in the mobile home park space?
Um, I started first flipping homes here in Miami. I was buying a lot of properties in the auction when they were available in 2014, and I did everything from industrial, office, retail, apartments, land, homes. I mean, a little bit of everything. Then that dried up. All the auction market kind of got very expensive, and it dried up. It didn't make sense anymore. I moved into multifamily in 2018.
Hmm.
Before that, I was doing everything with my own capital. For the multi, I decided to do something bigger and raise money from investors. I syndicated that deal.
Nice.
Try to look for more multi, and it got very expensive. I was focused in Florida, and that market was getting very competitive with a lot of institutional buyers. Um, and started to figure out I needed to look at other asset classes. A friend introduced me to somebody that was doing mobile home parks, learn about the business, and he basically said, if you're going to get into this business, go to a mobile home park university, at least get a intro course into
Yep.
this before you decide to go in. I did the university, and I think it took me about a year to buy my first deal. After that, I looked at a lot of deals, really studied the market, studied deals, talked to brokers, figure out the lending environment, all that, until I was able to do my first deal in July of 2020.
No, wow,
I
nice.
started looking in Florida first, and cap rates were even lower than multi.
That's
I
crazy.
by talking to brokers and wholesalers. Somebody suggested, why don't you start looking outside of Florida, which I was trying to stay close, at least with my first part, and then ended up buying my first deal in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That
You
was July
still
2020.
and you still own that one in Wichita?
I still do, yes.
Okay. Have you sold any of the parks that you've purchased
I
since?
haven't I haven't sold one yet. No, I'm still. I mean, this park was heavy value add. It had about 15 occupied sites out of, well, it was 62. I got a rezone to 79, but now we're in around 62 occupied.
Okay.
We did the new roads, added street lights, landscape, fixed abandoned homes, demoed homes, re-tenanted a lot of the park with new residents, and rents. I think we took them from like 250. We're at 425, charging back trash. So it's been a ride. That was my first deal. And we're still bringing in homes. I mean, that's still probably take another 2 years to finish the infill on this deal.
Wow. Yeah. So, it's interesting. A lot of people go through the mobile home park university, right? That's where a lot of people get started. It's got one of the godfathers in there. I'm curious. Most of us know like his guidelines, their guidelines on what parks they look for. Do you actually abide by that, or do you still you have your own criteria of what you're looking for when you're buying parks?
Um, I don't. I mean, I think the class is very good. I think the problem is it hasn't been updated with the current reality of the market. So,
Hmm.
it's still teaching you to buy. I think I can't remember if it was a 10 cap and no park on homes. And
Yeah.
yeah, those are the ideal parks. I think that when they were easier to find in the old days, I think it's a lot harder to find those ideal parks that are that are taught in the mobile home park university. And I think I walked away from a lot of good deals just because of what I learned there. And
Yeah.
but it also got me into the business. So I mean, it's still been very good for me to go to the school. I just think it'll be nice to, for maybe Frank to update his class to the reality of the market today, because I think it's harder to find those cap rates and those amazing deals. But there's still a lot of value out there. It's just a lot of hard work. And I agree. If I could find parks that he teaches, yeah, that's all we'll be buying. But
Yeah.
we find a park with a lot, with lots of vacancy, and you have to bring in a lot of homes and do a lot of cleanup. And
Yep.
I mean, that's where you make the really high returns, but it's a lot of work to get there. It takes a team to really make it happen. I did my first 4 parks on my own
Mm.
with, I had a property manager in each group of properties, or in each location, that helped me a lot to turn around these parks. But I was doing it all at the beginning, from accounting, getting the licenses, applying for the loans, buying the homes, selling homes, doing all that
Yeah.
with the manager that I had in place. And it was a great learning curve. Now I'm happy that, we built a great team, and it makes executing the plans a lot easier.
Nice. So you did mention you kind of you're not following it fully, the guidelines. So are you purchasing parks with lagoons or waste treatment centers? Are you purchasing any of those?
All of the above. I mean, I've done well, lagoon, wastewater treatment plant, septic. I mean, yeah, it's a little more stressful, let's put it. But if you do your due diligence on the utilities and they're in good condition, and there isn't an issue with the state or the local authorities, with the environmental authorities, I mean,
Hmm.
we're fine. Um, doing private utilities.
Nice. What would you say is the number one thing to kind of look out for with like lagoons? Because we come across a lot that have lagoons, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure that they're in good condition. Talk to the operator, talk to the local, EPA, and see if there's been any issues with it.
Hmm.
And check the equipment, the aerators. I mean, the pumps and all that. But in general, I mean, when was the last time it was maybe pumped out and cleaned? Those are the kind of things to look for. But in general, they've been pretty easy to maintain and operate. At
That's
least for us.
good.
We have one. I mean, the wastewater treatment plant is a lot more, I think, involved, because you have the tanks. You have to check the condition of the pumps, the tanks, the clarifier, and all the different sections that it has, and make sure that it's operating properly. And again, you got to check the emissions and make sure that there hasn't been any violations of the treatment plans, and make sure that they're operating well. I mean, if you see a lot of violations, that means we're having issues with the plant.
Yeah.
Something is definitely a red flag, and see if there's, maybe the equipment's not working properly. But we have operators in all of these, and that are approved by the local EPA, and you know they're doing a good job. So as long as we keep an eye on them, I mean, that's.
Yeah. Nice. So with the lagoons, you have someone on a regular basis testing them, checking them out. Is that part of the operations? What are you, I guess, writing in when on your due diligence and acquisition cost when you're buying a lagoon?
I mean, really, this is not a lagoon per se. It's more, it has like a treatment plan, and then it goes
Okay.
into this lagoon. So, we check with the local operator that if there was any issues. You check when was the last time it was pumped. You check the aerator that's working correctly and all the equipment before we knew we had to go in and do some capex going in because a lot of the equipment was failing, but they didn't have any violations. We just did some upgrades.
Got it. Nice.
For your Wichita, that first deal, and I know you probably passed on a bunch of, like what you said, were deals because you were sticking to the rules. Was that Wichita a perfect Frank Rolfe Park? Or and then what gave you
That was
confidence to
a
move?
lot of vacancy. Yeah, it had a lot of vacancy. I had to, no park-owned homes really, which was a good thing. It was private. It's public utility direct bill, so that met those guidelines, but it just had a lot of vacancy. I mean, I think that, bringing in a lot of homes, it's very challenging. I mean, especially when you're starting, right? You have to learn how to, finance and get the dealer's license, set them up, who to order homes from, what type of homes to order, what size, how many rooms, how many bathrooms, what type of flooring. I mean, there's a lot of things to decide, right? And I was new to the business, so I used somebody introduced me to a consultant in the business that's very knowledgeable in homes, and they helped me decide what to bring in and did the right intros, and that helped me a lot to get started.
Nice.
When you bought the park, did it pencil out, or did it like cash flow at purchase, or
No.
you had to and you went into it, and then how did you get the financing for that? What was
Seller financing?
awesome?
It was like 80% seller financing at like 3.5%.
That's great. Yeah.
But it was a 3-year balloon, so there was a lot of risk, right?
A 1-year balloon, you said?
3 years.
3 years, yeah. So you had to kind of move it. Yeah. Is that one so then that's kind of that one's coming up for a refinance then? Or did you?
I already refinanced.
Oh, you already refinance. Okay, great. That's awesome. And it's currently, you said you had that rezoned to 79 units, right? And it's currently at 62. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Nice. And what's been the biggest struggle with any of your parks or that park of, infilling? What have you found to be the biggest struggle when you're infilling lots of lots?
I mean, home financing in the beginning was the toughest thing to get approved to finance the homes. Second, they don't sell as fast as you would think they sell. I mean, it's very hard to sell homes unless maybe you're in a very hot market, and homes are very expensive, and there's a lot of people moving to that market, a lot of jobs, and you have a booming market. Maybe it's easier to sell. Some of these markets are more, I would say, boring, or things don't move as quickly as you would like. So we ended up having to rent homes. And the biggest challenge at the beginning is that I had a lender that wouldn't let me convert them to rentals. I could only hold them for sale. And the first park, we went very quick and bringing in homes, and we had a lot of inventory, and I couldn't rent it. I could only sell, and there were no buyers. So I was basically stuck with, I think we had 10 homes sitting in inventory, paying interest, taxes and insurance and utilities, and very few buyers. And that was the biggest challenge, is to be able to convert these to rentals. So now we underwrite a little bit different. Now we underwrite as if we're going to rent every home, and if we sell them, great. But I mean, now we underwrite for rentals, and that way we can also move quicker, and then try to convert a renter to a buyer if they like the home and they're a good renter. We try to do a rental conversion program.
Nice. So when you underwrite these as park-owned homes, as rentals, how's that exit strategy look like if they are still park-owned homes, or you've sold them on like you've done seller financing or a lease option on those?
We don't do RTOs or lease options. We either sell them with lenders. I mean, we've signed up with different lenders in the business that will finance to our residents.
Okay.
And right now we're going to start a new program where we can carry the loan, but it's done through a servicing, to try it. So they'll service a loan And that way, if we want to exit, that loan really is considered like it's off our books. We don't own the home anymore. So that takes it off our books. You can use that if you own the homes free and clear. I mean, so you can't do it if you have a loan on these homes from another lender.
Yeah.
Which in the newer homes, that's the case. Some parks we bought with existing park-owned homes. For those parks, if they're paid off, it's perfect. And the other ones we have to sell them. And the challenge is getting buyers approved to buy these homes because the credit score, not enough income. I mean, so it looks better in a spreadsheet, but the reality is it's very slow and it's a slow process to sell homes. Again, depends on every market, right? And you gotta evaluate your market where you're going in, maybe run some ads and see how many applications you really get and what are other homes selling for, how's the competition. But I mean, renting is easy.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is to sell homes. So that's the biggest challenge I see in the business when you buy infill parks is how are you going to infill? How are you going to finance the homes and who's going to buy them? And, is there enough market? How fast you're going to go? So those are things to look for when you're underwriting, right? When you're looking at a new deal.
For now the parks that you look at, are you still leaning towards more infill parks, or has a lot of these parks already been full or close to? And how does tenant owned versus park owned influence your decision?
I try to look more now that I've done it, all different types of parks. Now I try to look for parks at least 75% occupied. I don't want to do any more of the heavy value add deals. I'll do value add, and that's what we do, but not heavy value add. I mean, I want parks that are maybe cash flowing from the beginning, that are, you still have some infill opportunities, raising rents, charge back utilities, maybe fix some park abandoned homes, and but the heavy value add take a long time to turn around, a lot of capital. And they're, you can do very well with them. I mean, very high returns. It's just high risk.
So it sounded like keyword there is if you purchase it at the right price, basically, if it needs a lot of infill, if it's already cash flowing from day one, but it has opportunity to infill, you'll still kind of look at that.
Yeah, maybe I will. Depends on the market. I'm more market driven now than, location is key. But these first parks, I was buying them for 4,000 a lot. I mean, those are hard to find these days, right?
Yeah.
So it was a good school. I mean, it was inexpensive, let's say, to learn the business. Now you're paying a lot more per lot, so it's a lot harder. It's easier to make a mistake, right? It's
What
more expensive to make mistakes. Let's put it that way.
what part of the country are you buying in? What's your main markets?
Southeast and Midwest is kind of our core. Like to buy around where we already own. That way we can manage with the same team. It's just more efficient to visit the parks, to manage them. But right now we own North, South Carolina. We're in Kansas and in Illinois.
Okay, nice. And how are you finding your deals? Are you doing you got a lot of broker connections? Are you doing direct to seller stuff?
We do it all. I mean, I talk to brokers all the time. We're calling owners, wholesalers, local brokers sometimes. I mean, and talking to local owners. I mean, just a little bit of everything, right? We're always looking, and it's been definitely a challenging year last year to find deals. With the rates going up so quickly, I mean, it's sellers still have in mind the numbers from the prior year. When interest rates were at 3%, now they're, I think we got up to the 8, 9s at one point, and people still wanted the price that we're getting. The rates were 3%. They didn't sell at that time, and now they can't get that price anymore, and they're not happy with the numbers. And so we've seen a lot of discrepancy between the bid and ask. Let's hope that this year is a little bit better. Rates already dropped from the peak, and the Fed is saying they're going to drop another 75 basis points. So if they follow through, I mean, I think it'll be a lot easier to make the deals pencil in, but we'll see. I mean, it's still slow right now. I mean, I've been making a lot of phone calls in the last couple of weeks, and it's been, there's not a lot of activity yet.
Yeah. Have you been able to work more seller financing deals, or is it?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more offers with seller
Mhm.
financing. I think that's definitely the way to go with this market if you want to make deals work. I mean, the last deal we bought was seller carry,
Mhm.
and otherwise it would have never worked.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you do that, you have to be careful because the deal might cash flow, but you might not have an upside because you're paying up front for the upside just because the seller's giving you a very low interest rate. I had somebody offer me a deal with a 3% rate. And yeah, the
Yeah.
deal was going to cash flow 8 or 9, 10% going in, but it was zero upside because you're already paying the price you're going to sell it 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
even if rents were under market, even after increasing rents and taking it to the peak, you were not going to make any money on the sale. So, the sellers can fictitiously increase the value by giving you a very low interest rate. They get the
Yep.
money they wanted when rates were at 3, but when you go out and refi or try to sell it to a real buyer, to another buyer that's got to get a real loan, in the market, you're not going to be able to get that price anymore. So,
Yeah.
I mean, seller carry works as long as the price is reasonable. I mean, you might not be able to pay. You got to be careful with, what's going to be your exit cap rate or what's the next buyer going to, finance that property at, because again, you might not be able to make the deal work at the exit unless you're okay just cash flowing and holding it for a very long period, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Then it's
Yep.
okay. You don't have to give a certain return, or you're okay with a coupon flipper. I mean, that works, but just, it's something to be careful with.
Yeah. So important is just, yeah, what's the exit strategy? What's the period you're going to be holding it? Because your balloon is one of the most important things on that, and the investors that are backing behind it too. How long do they want to stay in? But if you, like you said, if it's a low interest rate, higher price at a 3 or 5 year term, well, you got to consider that. What's your exit then at that point? And that's where a lot of people get in trouble. I see. Both Ben and I come from a creative financing background, so it's we look at that stuff quite often. Right. So
That was
what?
great.
Sorry, go ahead,
No, I
Ben.
was gonna say that's a great point as far as the time on the loan, because yeah, you're getting great creative finance terms and you're paying a little bit more, but the exit, like you said, you could get stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of all your deals, were majority of them seller finance deals, or did you close on any of them with conventional financing?
We've done no 3 with seller financing, and my first 2 deals were seller financing, and my last deal, all the other ones were bank financing.
Nice.
That must mean the deals are pretty good because we've tried to like underwrite some deals using conventional financing, and the deals had to have been much, much better for us to actually get those loans. So
Yeah,
you were
or you
able
do
to
lower, or you do lower loan to value. I mean, you lower your leverage. Sometimes that helps, but yeah, the problem is, the deals right now you're going into negative leverage, right? Your cap rate is going to
Mhm.
be lower than the loan interest rate. I mean, so it's a risky, the risky unless you have a really, really, I mean, value add, right? Where rents are so low that you can really double, the
Yeah.
rent, and it might work and might be worth taking the risk. But yeah, I mean,
Yep.
the deal we did in May, we got a 5% loan. I mean, I think we were probably buying a 5 cap, but the rents were half of the market. So, I mean, we already increased the rents,
Yeah.
significantly, and we're not even close to where the market is. So, that deal has a lot. We'll probably take it to a 9 or 10 cap. Uh, in the 5 years that the seller gave us for the loan. So by then, we're a lot safer, right? So we're okay doing it in that case. But if the deal's tight already, and you don't have a lot of upside. I mean, you got to be very careful with doing that.
Have you found a lender that you can work with that will count park owned home income?
There's probably one in the business. I haven't done any loans with them yet, but yeah, there's few that will do it. I mean, some local banks might do it.
Yeah.
There's one national lender that does it. The interest rate is very high.
Yeah.
So you're paying in the eights, nines for the whole thing, and it works. I mean, if you want to take over a deal like that, it definitely works.
Yeah. So you're basically you're looking at these, okay, what is only the space rent? And that's where you're coming up your value because that's where lenders are gonna be able to lend at.
Correct. Then we have to figure out what do we do with the homes, right? I've put offers out there where I say, okay, I'll buy the park and you give me a loan on the homes. Or,
Yep.
it's, you got to get creative, right? It's kind of, ideally you don't assign a lot of value to the homes if they're old.
Yeah.
I don't assign any value. They're pretty old. I mean, I just think they're worth zero. They're a liability.
Yeah.
You got to put more money than what people think they're worth. So you end up having to put in a new ACs and furnaces and roofs just to be able to sell them and keep a resident in there, right? So
Yeah.
those old rentals are more of a liability, right? So I think that the way to do it is, hopefully not pay anything for them, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
sell this thing. They're, especially the mom and pops, they think they have a gold mine with these old homes.
Yeah.
You're getting, the maybe $700, $600, but that should be the lot rent sometimes. I mean, they're really not making any money on the homes. So yeah, that's how we value deals. I mean, if they're newer homes, it's a different story, but still, you got to be careful because if you're buying very expensive, they'll still be hard to sell. I mean, the homes that are inexpensive sell very quickly. When you're trying to sell home in the $60,000-$70,000 range, I mean, they can sit for a long time in the inventory. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's as you mentioned, that's been the struggle is mom and pops thinking they're sitting on a gold mine with their park owned homes. Uh, but they're not going to get the value for it, especially if you got, 80s built homes in there, maybe 90 2000s, but it's you see a lot of, 80s built, maybe lower 90s, and you can't add a lot of value to that.
well, and if you're looking at a portfolio that has those old homes, just keep in mind you should put in, $5,000 at least per home going in because you will have a lot of deferred maintenance. I mean, that's what we found out every time we buy these parks is that
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get rid of these homes, you got to fix them because most people won't, and then they're easy to buy into. You can get the banks that are doing financing for the residents, they'll finance a house at you could probably get your money out if you're lucky. But
Yeah.
you get a resident, you get a lot rent, and you can reset lot rents that way. So
Is that what you've done in a bunch of these parks? Actually allocated money to fixing up the park owns and then selling them off?
selling them off or trying to sell them off, but yeah, we usually lose money on the park on home sales. That's really been the key to turning around some of these parks is just getting a resident in there. You lose money on the sale, but you get a long-term resident, right? At least if the home is in a decent, we got to get it to where it's livable and where they need heat and air. Usually, I mean, at least heat is the most important. I mean, air. We'll try to maybe install some window units, even though it doesn't look as nice. But in the 70s, 80s homes, you don't want to, the central AC, you're putting in $3,000 and people can't pay for it, right? You're not going to get it back. So sometimes,
Yeah.
but furnaces is key. I mean, you got to get a furnace in there for people need if you're in a cold area.
Yeah.
Make sure the flooring is fine, the bathrooms, the water, running water, electricity, roof. And at least they have a place to live, and try to sell them sometimes at $1,500, $2,000, and we might have put in $5,000 into it, so we don't get our money back. I mean, we're getting a resident, and now that site is worth maybe 30, 40,000
Yeah.
with $1,000 investment. So it's
Have you tried the mini split systems at all? Like through like Mr. Cool, kind of the easy, quick disconnects?
we haven't no.
Just was talking to somebody recently and they were starting to put that in their homes. And one, it's pretty simple to install. So like their handyman on staff can easily do it themselves. And it's the cost of them is it is more than a window unit, but the control features, of it and the quick, easy disconnects. They said it's been a pretty good little feature for
Yeah, I
them.
mean, they're not inexpensive, and the reality is that they're only working one bedroom at a time, right? So you
Yeah.
still need one mini split per room. So for that case, just install a window unit. I mean, it looks nicer. I guess the mini split looks nicer on the outside, right, for the community. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a bunch of old homes, it doesn't make a difference
The
anymore, right?
cost savings. Yeah. Yeah. So what's been 16 parks in, what's been the biggest challenge so far of these 16?
I still would say park on homes has always been.
It sounds like it's been pretty much this the whole show.
Yeah, that's been our biggest challenge is dealing with park on homes, because when the rentals people leave, they don't pay. You have to evict them. They destroy the house. You gotta put money into it. And if you can't sell them, you keep on renting, right? And you gotta keep the cash flow. So it's a money drainer. I mean, it's tough. And again, I guess it's very market driven.
Mhm.
Some people like him. I personally don't. I mean, but we're working very hard right now and putting a lot of effort into selling park-owned homes. I mean, that's kind of been our, one park we did it very successfully, but we're selling the homes at $1,500, $2,000, and in that park, if we sold it today, we'll 4x our capital.
Amazing.
Um, because we got rid of every home. I mean, and
Yeah.
yeah, it probably cost. I mean, probably right now I'm aiming for 100,000 in all these old homes, but I mean, I'm going to get a lot more than that. I mean, in an exit. So sometimes you got to look at it a little different. And again, it all depends how much you paid for the homes going in. If you paid a bunch of money for them, it's going to be very hard to sell them at that loss. But every deal you got to look at it differently and see how you can strategize. And
Yeah.
With your current business, what does your team look like? And have you grown it, or are you going to need to grow it? And what are kind of like your next 2, 3, 5 year goals in the mobile home park space?
yeah, the parks we have property managers, either for usually for a group of properties, right? So South Carolina, we have a manager for 5 properties. 6 properties in North Carolina, 2 in Illinois, and 3 in Wichita. So those managers have to manage multiple properties. So they kind of work like a regional, and it depends on the community, right? Like one where we have all the rentals. I mean, we have, an assistant, for leasing and collections, and then we have 3 maintenance people in maintenance. So that's a team at the properties, and then we have a director of operations that oversees all the managers. And we have an accounting team, marketing, and administrative, and an underwriter for underwriting deals. And that's what we have right now. We were growing faster, but like I said, last year kind of things came to a halt. So we haven't been, right now we're in the process of hiring an acquisitions associate, to just be looking for deals and underwriting, basically full time. I've been doing a lot of the calling and finding the deals. It's been my job, but we're looking for somebody right now to help me, grow faster.
Nice.
It seems like you're good at almost every part of the business. What would you say your superpower is?
I mean, I love deals. I mean, that's kind of been but I'm very strong in operations. I come from an operations background, engineering, and working in manufacturing engineering for years, and that's always been kind of my thing is operations. And but yeah.
Nice. How many parks in were you before you built out your team? Because you said it was you, with all the hats on,
I
and
bought
then
4 parks on my
4 parks.
own.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I started building a team and raise a fund. And I was getting ready to raise a fund. So I started hiring, operations, acquisitions, and we started building the accounting team and all that stuff. So it was a process, right? And then we launched the fund. And when we launched the fund, we already had under contract 10 parks. That was a year and a half ago. And so we went in with those 10 parks, and then we bought after that 2 more, and then everything kind of slowed down. So I think this year, hopefully things will pick up a little bit. I mean, rates are dropping, and we'll see if they keep on dropping. That's going to be the key to get a little deal start working out again.
Yeah, yeah. Or more hopefully sellers get in tune with seller financing. That's the biggest thing. Same thing here is every one that we're looking at, it's like, are they going to consider seller financing? Because what they're already asking right now is not gonna work for the situation. But, so what's your strategy with these parks? Are these all long-term holds, refinance out partners? What's your game plan with that?
My parks, the 4 that I bought, I'm just finishing the value add plan over time and refi or sell them. I still don't know. I mean, I don't have a specific plan right now. I'm just trying to implement the plan and see where it goes. On the fund, it's a 7-year fund, 5 to 7 years. So we'll probably be exiting those deals in 4 years or so, and it's part of, or we'll refi and we can still keep the park. So we're allowed to do either or. So it depends on how things are going, how good the deals are performing. We'll determine at that point. But it's we're not forced to sell. It's a 7-year fund with 2 1-year extensions, so we can go to 9 years. So ideally you sell when the time is right. I don't want to be to sell when like if I had to sell today and I don't have an extension. I mean, it was the worst time to sell a park right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in that situation, so we give ourselves some extensions to be able to sell at the right time.
Yeah, that's good. So 2 1-year extensions, you said, basically. Yeah. Yes. And they're already 7-year terms, basically, or funds set up. So that's great. It's a good way to set it up because it protects yourself, protects the investors. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Was the fund deal based, like per deal, or you just collected and you still have reserves to buy more deals with the original fund? How did you set it up for yourself?
We do capital calls, so we get commitments and we call the capital when we need it for deals or for capex, and it gives us a period, 2.5 years to buy the deals, and it was a 1.5 year raise, so we're closing it in March. The raising, and then we have another year to keep on buying deals. But I only do capital calls when we're going to buy a deal, so I'm not forced to buy or not under pressure to buy anything. I mean, we've been very conservative and very patient in finding the right deal, and we're not just buying a deal to get fees. It's buying a deal, the right deal is what's important.
How did you become knowledgeable of how to set up the fund? Because it sounds like you set it up in a very smart, strategic way.
I was just about to ask that.
I mean, we use good attorneys that help us put the fund documents together. They're experienced doing this, talking to other syndicators and see what's worked for them, and just reading and studying what other people are doing, looking at other offerings, and just kind of trying to go with the standard in the business. I mean, but yeah, that's how we came up with the terms.
Nice. Are you registered? Was it a 506C or what?
506B.
506B. Okay. So that's accredited investors.
Accredited investors, correct.
Yeah. Very cool.
Any other assets besides mobile home parks that you're looking at?
Nope, just this. 100% focused.
100% focused. I mean, we'll look at RVs that are long-term. So, RV is a different business. People try to put it together with MH, but they're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a long-term RV park, but if you're short-term, you're running a hotel.
Yeah. Yep. It's the short-term rental business of commercial, basically.
Yeah. people come in and out every day. I mean, that's you're running a hotel business. You got to have bookings and do reservations, and it's a lot of operations day to day.
Yep.
Mobile home park, if you have tenant-owned homes, I mean, people are just there. I mean, you really don't have a lot in a day to day other than collecting and violations and dealing with issues at the park, but it's a lot easier to run.
Yeah, the
So-
RV park model is much more.
Oh yeah, management intensive. For sure. So coming towards the end of an hour here, about 45 minutes in, what is it now looking back 16 parks in, what would you do different if you had to start all over?
Buy bigger parks, more stabilized, more tenant-owned homes, close to maybe larger markets or in larger markets that are growing. And that's the first thing I look at when somebody calls me with a deal. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
First thing I look at is what's the population, and if you Google it, you'll see the chart.
If it's declining,
It will tell you if it's going up or down. If it's going down, I'm out.
yeah.
Trying to really, be a lot more demographic focused, median income, looking at what the median home price is. I mean,
Yep.
you really want the median home price to be at least double of what a mobile home is, just because you want to be competitive when you're selling these homes.
Yeah.
Look at 3-bedroom rents. We want them to be also, hopefully over $1,500, because I mean, if you want to rent a typical $45,000, single wide, if you look at the monthly payments on your loan and insurance and taxes plus your lot rent, you want to be at least over $1,000 to make it profitable. That's kind of where if the 3-bedroom apartments or homes are renting for $900, you're going to have a tough time renting a mobile home over that money, over that value. So you'll end up, it's going to be hard to infill a park. I mean, if the park's already full, it doesn't matter. It's a lot. I mean, it matters, but it's less risky, because you're not bringing in new homes. But if you have to bring in new homes in the market, it has very low prices on homes. It's people, we're probably going to buy a single family home.
Yeah. That's a good point. So you said bigger parks. How many what's the minimum pad size that you were looking at now?
At least 100.
Okay.
I mean, if we're already there, we'll look at smaller, but we want to be at least at 100 pads, at least 70% occupied. That's kind of our
that's
really
good.
what we want to look at. Because if you want to hire a manager, you need at least, to afford them, you probably need about 70 occupied pads to at least make find the right manager that you can pay him, pay the manager a competitive salary to get somebody good and still make money in the park.
Got it. And out of the 16 parks that you have, how many pads is that?
It's 900, so it's a lot of parks. We bought some portfolios with smaller parks, but we wanted to be in that market, right? So it was more foot in the door in that market, and we've been buying more there. So it's worked out for us. But I mean, if it's a portfolio, we'll change a little bit that minimum, but ideally, when we're looking at one single deal, I'll probably, I'm trying to stay over 100 if possible.
Yeah. And like you said, you have like a territorial or a district manager basically when you have that portfolio. So the way you got it set up is a little bit unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, Larry, we appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up for our listeners to be aware of when purchasing a park? You've given out tons of great information, but anything else before leaving? And then also, what's the best way of getting a hold of you? And if you said you work with wholesalers, you work with other people, what can they bring you to so you can find more deals?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think looking at the utilities is key. I mean, the guts of the park. I mean, spend the money to run a camera through the sewer lines. Really check, water lines, the sewer lines, all the utilities, walk the park-owned homes, look underneath them, like really, dig deep, because you will have a lot of issues that you're not seeing, and if you kind of walk in, easily. So, I mean, pay a lot of attention to that when you're looking at a deal, and if possible, get real quotes from, contractors, all the capex you want to do, because you'll be surprised. I mean, the different prices you'll get, and then you might be under budget, over budget in your capex. So I think that, those are I guess, the key things I would like to share.
Nice. That brings up a question. So when you're doing your due diligence, how many days are you usually allocating for due diligence?
I mean, I want at least 45. I mean, just because the third parties take a while. I mean,
Yeah.
we always do a survey, always do environmental, title. I mean, you got to go through all those. So I mean, it's going to take you. I mean, most of these people, by the time they get there and they do the reports, and you also have to work through your lender. I mean, I haven't seen them done, and I mean, it's very hard to get it done in the 30 days. It can be done, but it puts a lot of pressure. You don't want to be asking for extensions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we'll do a 30 with an extension. We can buy an extension kind of thing if we see that everything is fine. But just getting vendors. I mean, and getting the people to do the camera in the sewer line. Sometimes you're booked.
Yeah.
And you're doing it remotely until you get everybody in. You want to try to get everybody organized, so when you're there that week doing the due diligence, you have all your vendors, and sometimes it's hard to coordinate that. So you got to get your zoning report. I mean, all that takes time. I mean, some of these towns, they take forever to answer. They don't have a lot of staff, so sometimes they're very slow to
Yep.
answer, all the zoning stuff and all that. But we go through all those reports, and I think 30 days is tight. I think you can do 45 days ideally, to get all the reports done.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing 60, and we're telling the seller like, hey, the first 30 days, it's mostly go make sure the financials, getting all the paperwork, doing the forensic auditing basically on that side. And as sooner we get that done, then we'll move into more of the physical due diligence and checking out the parts. Cause one, we don't want to fly out and have everybody meet out there and we find out the financials are not what they say they were. Right. So
Yeah, we do that first, but the clock doesn't start ticking until we get all the documents that we asked for.
smart. That's
So
smart.
that's how we say, once we get all the list of financials and, leases and everything, that's when the due diligence starts, because otherwise, yeah, you're running into that problem that you're missing stuff 30 days later, and you're still fighting for information, and then, you're losing due diligence days. You don't want to hire third-party reports until you have all these, all your financial auditing, lease auditing. I mean, you can do a lot of that from your office, like you're saying, and it's critical to get all those, check the utility bills, check the leases, check the income, check the bank statements. They're getting all the money they say they're getting in every month.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do before you get out there. Plus, you can already have a lot of questions answered, or a list of questions you want to ask once you're there from looking at the financials. So that helps. Yeah, you want to get that done before you start spending any money traveling and hiring all the third parties.
Yeah, very good. So Larry, how can people get a hold of you to bring you deals that you can buy?
Yeah, the easiest, you can email me, Larry at broadviewcap.com. And that's BROADVIEWCAP.com.
Perfect. Well, Larry Abramowitz. Did I say
Abramowitz.
it? Okay, there we go. Got it right. I'm learning. Well, I appreciate your time. You've been such a great value, and our listeners are going to get a lot out of this. We're getting a lot out of it. So we do appreciate your time. So thanks again for coming on our show. And we wish you the best of luck in getting more deals, and hopefully people will reach out and get you some stuff.
Yeah. Same to you guys. Thanks
Appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks, Larry.
Bye.